And good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending when you are receiving this information. My name is Rafael Vasquez, and this is your show, Líderes del Futuro. Today, I have the privilege and opportunity to speak with Monica Cornejo. Monica, thank you for being with me this afternoon, this morning, depending when our community is receiving this information we are providing.
Thank you, Rafael, for having me, and thank you for the audience for listening.
And so, Monica, can you tell us a little bit about yourself? I know that you're, at the university, but what else should we know about you?
Yeah, so I'm a fourth year doctoral student in the Department of Communication at UC Santa Barbara. I guess my research centers around undocumented immigrants and particularly looking at ways in which we can use research to increase our community's social mobility. And I engage in this research particularly because I'm also part of the undocumented community.
And so, how much longer, obviously, you came to this country at a young age, you've been living in the United States. How much longer before you get your PhD? And then what are you going to do with it?
Yeah, so it's about 1 year. Hopefully, by next June, I'll have earned my PhD. And then afterwards, I hope to continue on to a university where I hope to teach and conduct research that is also within this topic area of undocumented immigration.
And you like to write. So you've written a couple of books. Let's talk about the first book that you wrote. I think it was about a year ago, maybe a little bit longer than that. Why do you enjoy writing? What brings you? Why is it so important for you to write?
Yeah, so I wrote that first book, which is on poetry, because I think as people and particularly as undocumented immigrants, we experience a ton of stressors. And I think that writing, at least for me, is one way in which I can cope and navigate these stresses. So that's why I wrote it, and I shared it with others, and I put it on sale because I thought that it might also help them deal with some of the thoughts or inspire them to write as well.
Can you tell us the name of the book and where people can find that book?
Yeah, the book's available on Amazon via paperback or Kindle version, and it's called Worlds Apart.
Okay. And again, if you could give us a little bit more details about what the book looks into or talks about.
Yeah, so the book looks into a little bit of everything. It talks about, relationships, romantic and friendship relationships, as well as more of what I refer to in the book as introspection or self-reflection on, different areas of life, including, migration experience, as well as coping with a relationship that ends or a relationship that begins.
And so this book could possibly be used at community colleges, universities, as a way of starting these conversations on all of these topics, while at the same time using poetry as the tool to connect all of this. Um, what else? And then basically, it took a year or so, and now you have written another book, but this one is not meant necessarily for adults. This one is meant for children. What's the name of the latest book, and what can you tell us about it?
Yeah, the book's called The Adventures of Juanito, the Undocumented Boy. And the book centers around Juanito, who is an undocumented boy who migrates with his mom to the United States to reunite with his father. And so the book talks about, his struggles as migration and being separated from his mom, and as well as navigating the school system as a new immigrant, not knowing the English language.
And this book is meant again for children who may be having experienced migration to understand some of the struggles that children and parents have gone through. What is the target population or the target age for this book?
Yeah, so the target age is, 4 to 8 years old, or pre-K to about second grade. And there's two primary target populations. So the first one is definitely, our undocumented communities, like you mentioned, children as well as parents. And it's really targeted for children to have someone or something that they can see their experiences reflected in, which would be this book. And it's I envision it being used for parents and children to navigate in these conversations on undocumented immigration and what it means to navigate having this identity in the U.S. to normalize really an undocumented identity. But it's also targeted towards documented children as well as documented parents. And again, the purpose is to show others who don't have this identity, who don't have an undocumented identity, with the experiences that we encounter as undocumented immigrants, with the hopes, again, to normalize this identity, but to also increase allyship.
So in the United States, one of the things that we know for sure is that there is a lot of negativity about being undocumented, and that negativity is internalized. And as a result of that, it leads to people hating on themselves. And there have been many cases of people committing suicide as a result of all this negativity, this depression that develops over time. So your goal is really to educate people and to, as you said, normalize, make it okay to be who you are, much like being a member of the LGBTQ community, or you're right, there's a long list that we can add there. What has been the response that you have gotten on this?
Yeah, the response has been overwhelmingly positive. I've had, I've posted the book in various sites, including sites on Dreamers or other undocumented immigrants. And time and time again, I've received various comments saying, my goal is to write a book. I'm going to give this to my kids so they also know someone who's written about our experiences or lived experiences. I've had, allies who don't share this experience, whose kids are not undocumented, tell me how they like the character Juanito, and who have a ton of questions around why Juanito was separated from his mom, as will be explained in the book. And to me, this shows the need of the need that we have in having these types of books available to our communities.
Definitely. And so I think it's important for people to have this dialogue. Where can people find the book?
Yeah, so the book's available on Amazon, both in the Kindle version and paperback.
Okay. And is it already out and on sale now?
Yeah, it's already out, so people can just search for The Adventures of Juanito, or search my name, Monica Cornejo, on Amazon, and they should be able to find it.
Okay. And is there anything else you would like to tell our community about the work that you're doing, the education that you're pursuing as an undocumented immigrant, that may encourage other individuals who are in your situation to continue to move forward with their own goals?
Yeah, I guess the primary thing is that we need people who have our shared experiences in different positions, be that education or healthcare, or different institutions of power, to change the dialogue and the narrative around the stigma around being undocumented. So that's the first thing. And then the second thing is that it's okay to be undocumented, that we didn't do anything wrong, that we are here in the United States pursuing a better life for our families and our children because of forced migration, particularly from the United States. So I think it's very important for people to be aware of these issues and educate themselves on these matters.
And with that, I want to thank you for taking the time and being with us today. Again, Monica Cornejo, soon to be Dr. Monica Cornejo, over in Southern California. And again, eventually you'll travel and go to a university that will continue to support the research that you're doing. Again, I've read the book. I think you should do a series of them to show how the child continues to, again, grow and adjust and acculturate to the United States, much like you did. And so, again, I want to thank you for taking the time and being with us today. This is your show, Líderes del Futuro. Thank you, Monica.
Thank you, Rafael.